The screen of my phone trembled in my hand as I stared at the banking app. Where there should have been $47,832, my entire medical fund saved over 5 grueling years, there was only 212.46. My throat closed up as I jabbed the refresh button again and again. My name is Milena, and in that moment, I knew someone had stolen my future. "Mom?" I called out, my voice cracking as I limped down the hallway of our family home. "Dad?" The familiar ache in my spine flared with each step, a constant reminder of why I needed that money. I found them in the kitchen. Mom was arranging flowers while Dad sat at the counter with his morning coffee, scrolling through his phone. They looked so normal, as if they hadn't just destroyed everything I'd worked for. "Someone's taken my money," I said, holding up my phone. "All of it. I need to call the bank." Mom didn't even look up from her roses. "Oh, honey, we were going to talk to you about that." "What do you mean?" "Well," Dad cleared his throat, still not meeting my eyes. "Your sister's wedding venue needed a larger deposit than expected. And with the catering costs, plus that designer dress she fell in love with, the room started spinning." "You took my surgery money for Sadie's wedding? Don't be dramatic, Milena." Mom finally looked at me, her face set in that familiar expression of disapproval. "It's an investment in happiness. Your sister only gets married once." "My surgery's in 3 weeks." I gripped the counter to stay upright. 5 years of savings, every extra shift, every bonus, everything I had. "You can always save up again," Dad mumbled into his coffee. "Save up again?" My laugh came out hollow. "I can barely work full-time with this pain. The specialist said if I don't get this procedure soon, the damage could become permanent." Mom slammed a rose down harder than necessary. "Honestly, Milena, this obsession with your back isn't healthy. Have you tried yoga? My friend Sandra swears by it." "Yoga? Are you serious right now? Don't take that tone with me." She pointed a flower stem at me like a weapon. "This is about family. Your sister needs this wedding. The Grays are very influential people. Do you know what doors this marriage could open for all of us?" "What about my doors?" I could hear my voice rising but couldn't stop it. "What about my chance to dance again? To work without pain? To have a normal life?" "Oh, please," Mom scoffed. "You haven't danced in years. It's time to move on. Besides, Sadie needs you to be her maid of honor. She's announcing it on Instagram today." I never agreed to— "Enough." Dad's hand came down on the counter. "What's done is done. The money has been spent. Now, you need to put on a happy face and support your sister. The rehearsal dinner is in 3 weeks. I stood there, staring at these people who were supposed to protect me, who had instead robbed me of my chance at healing. And for what? Crystal champagne flutes and designer centerpieces? "How could you do this to me?" My voice came out barely above a whisper. Mom rolled her eyes. "Stop being so selfish, Milena. This isn't all about you." In that moment, something inside me shifted. Maybe it was the casual cruelty of their dismissal. Maybe it was years of being told my pain wasn't real, wasn't important enough. Or maybe it was simply the realization that these people, my own parents, would never change. "You're right," I said quietly, straightening up despite the pain shooting down my leg. "It's not about me. It's about image, about appearances, about your precious social climbing." "Milena," Dad started, but I was already turning away. "I'll be at the wedding," I called over my shoulder. "I'll wear whatever dress Sadie picks. I'll smile for the photos. But after that, we're done." "Don't be dramatic," Mom shouted after me. But I wasn't being dramatic. For the first time in my life, I was seeing things with perfect clarity. They wanted a performance? Fine. I'd give them one they'd never forget. I pulled out my phone as I walked to my car, fingers shaking as I typed a message to my friend Vera. "Remember that idea you had about me sharing my story? I'm ready, and I know exactly where to start. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. but sometimes it's best served in front of 200 wedding guests with smartphones and social media accounts. Game on.
Girl, you look like death warmed over, Vera said, as I shuffled into our shared office space at the marketing firm. What happened? I collapsed into my ergonomic chair, the only luxury I'd allowed myself while saving for surgery. They took it. All of it. Who took what? My parents. They emptied my medical fund for Sadie's wedding. Vera's coffee mug hit the desk with a sharp crack. They did what?
I recounted the morning's conversation, my voice flat and empty. With each detail, Vera's expression darkened. That's theft, she said finally. You could press charges. And then what? Create a huge legal battle right before the wedding? They'd just paint me as the bitter, jealous sister. I rubbed my temples. I can't fight them directly. They're too good at spinning everything. Vera wheeled her chair closer, lowering her voice as our coworkers filtered in. Remember what I said about your blog posts? The ones about chronic pain and recovery? I'd started the blog 2 years ago, mostly as therapy. What about them? They're good, Milena. Really good. And you know what's hot right now? Digital courses. She pulled up a website on her monitor. Look at this platform. People are making serious money teaching everything from knitting to financial literacy. I'm not an expert in anything. Bullshit. Vera's eyes blazed. You've navigated the healthcare system, researched alternative therapies, learned how to manage a career with chronic pain. That's expertise. That's valuable. Who would pay to hear about that? The millions of people dealing with similar issues? She started typing furiously. Look at these statistics. Chronic pain affects more people than diabetes, heart disease, and cancer combined, and most feel completely lost dealing with it. My phone buzzed. Another wedding planning message from Sadie. I silenced it. I don't know, Vera. Just try it. Create one course outline. If it bombs, what have you lost? She paused. Besides, wouldn't it be deliciously ironic if you funded your surgery by helping others while your family's busy throwing money at flower arrangements? That got a small smile out of me. Where would I even start? First, we need to polish your brand. Vera was in full marketing mode now. Your blog posts are raw and honest. We keep that energy but make it more structured. Create a curriculum based on your journey. For the next hour, we sketched out ideas. My pain management techniques, the emotional toll of invisible illness, navigating relationships when chronic pain changes everything. This could actually work, I admitted, looking at our outline. Hell yes, it could. And I've got another idea. Vera lowered her voice further. What if we added a segment called Tell Your Truth? Anonymous stories about family dynamics and chronic illness. Let others share their experiences. I caught her meaning immediately. And maybe one of those anonymous stories sounds suspiciously familiar? Exactly. Build your platform now. Then when the time comes... She raised an eyebrow meaningfully. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time, demanding I come try on bridesmaid dresses this weekend. I ignored it. Okay, I said. Let's do it. We spent lunch break setting up the course platform. By evening, I had recorded my first introduction video, hands shaking but voice steady as I spoke about turning pain into purpose. Now we just need to get some eyes on it, Vera said, helping me set up the payment portal. I know some micro-influencers in the chronic illness community. Let me make a few calls. I was about to thank her when my office phone rang. The caller ID showed my doctor's office. Hello? Milena? It's Dr. Roberts' office. We're calling about your upcoming procedure. My stomach dropped. I know. I need to reschedule. I'm having some financial issues. There was a pause. Actually, we're calling because there's been a cancellation. We could move you up to next month if you can confirm payment by Friday. The universe's cruel joke. Our earlier surgery date when I had no money to pay for it. I'll have to pass, I managed to say, my throat tight.
Please give the slot to someone else. I hung up and found Vera watching me, her expression fierce.
That's it, she said, grabbing her phone. I'm calling in every favor I have. We're launching this course tomorrow, not next week, and we're going to make it blow up. As she dialed numbers and fired off emails, I opened my laptop and began typing, "Welcome to Pain to Power, a survival guide. My name is Milena, and this is the story of how I learned to turn betrayal into strength." The first application came in within an hour. Then another. And another. Maybe, just maybe, I could rebuild what they'd stolen. And this time, I'd make sure they regretted ever underestimating me. The WhatsApp notification jolted me awake at 6 a.m. Sadie had added me to a group called Bride Tribe Goals, along with 15 other people. Messages flooded in immediately. "Sadie, welcome my beautiful bridesmaids. Attached is everyone's schedule for the next 3 weeks, color-coded by person. Milena, as MOH, you're in charge of coordinating everything. Love you all." Without opening the attachment, I muted the chat and dragged myself to the bathroom mirror. 10 years ago, I would have been at the dance studio by now, warming up for morning practice. I touched my reflection, remembering the girl who once moved like water. My phone rang. Sadie. "Why aren't you responding in the group?" she demanded before I could say hello. "I just woke up." "Well, you need to get on this. The bridal shower is in 2 weeks, and I need you to coordinate with Mom about the venue. Also, did you see the itinerary? Your dress fitting is today at 2. I gripped the sink. "I have work today." "Oh, please, your boss loves you. Just take a long lunch." She paused. "By the way, I saw you launch some kind of online course thing. You should probably take that down before the wedding. Darren's family is very private, and it might seem desperate."
The old Milena would have apologized. The new one didn't. "Can't make 2 p.m., I said instead. "Schedule it for Saturday." But I hung up. At work, Vera was waiting with coffee and a gleam in her eye. "Check your course dashboard." I logged in and nearly spilled my drink. Overnight, we'd gotten 57 signups. How?
"Remember that chronic illness influencer I mentioned? She shared your intro video. But that's not the best part." Vera leaned in. "I got a message from someone who works at City Hall. Apparently your dad visited the Gray family's office last month, right before your money disappeared." My hands stilled on the keyboard. "What?" "Turns out Darren's father helped your dad dodge some campaign finance investigation last year. The wedding connection? That was the price." The pieces clicked together. My medical fund hadn't just paid for Sadie's wedding. It had covered my father's political debt. "How sure are you about this?" "My contact has documentation. Emails." Vera's smile was razor sharp. "Want to include it in the next Tell Your Truth segment?" I thought about my father's dismissive, "What's done is done," about my mother's roses and casual cruelty. "Not yet," I said finally, "but save everything." The rest of the day passed in a blur of wedding messages and coursework. By evening, I had 100 sign-ups and 3 missed calls from my mother. I was recording a module about family dynamics when my door buzzed. Opening it revealed Sadie, perfectly manicured and furious. "You missed the fitting," she snapped, pushing past me into my apartment. "I told you I couldn't make it." Do you have any idea how embarrassing that was? The boutique owner is friends with Darren's mother. She paced my small living room. "Why are you being so difficult? Mom and Dad gave you a beautiful opportunity to be part of something special. They stole my surgery money." "Oh my God, you're still on that. It's just a back problem. Take some Advil." She stopped pacing to examine my course notes on the coffee table. "What is all this anyway? Chronic pain and family trauma? When support systems fail?" Her eyes narrowed. "Are you writing about us?" I met her gaze steadily. "Everything I write is anonymous." "Take it down." Her voice shook. "Take it all down, or I'll tell Mom and Dad. Go ahead. She stared at me, this sister I'd once protected from playground bullies. What happened to you? I woke up. After she stormed out, I opened my laptop and started a new module. When family gaslights your pain. The words flowed easily now, sharp and true as knives. My phone buzzed with a new email. From Sound, Anonymous. Subject, your story. Message, I work in media. What your family did isn't just cruel, it's fraud. I have proof about the Gray connection. If you're interested in the full story, I'll be at the wedding. Look for LB. I read it 3 times, then texted Vera. Remember how you said revenge is best served to an audience? I think we just found our spotlight. The WhatsApp group pinged again. Another detailed schedule, another demand for my time and energy. I smiled and began to type my response. They wanted a maid of honor? They'd get one they'd never forget. Testing, testing. I adjusted my microphone, hands trembling slightly. Welcome to Tell Your Truth, where we share anonymous stories of chronic illness and family dynamics. Vera gave me a thumbs up from behind her laptop. We'd converted her spare bedroom into a makeshift recording studio, complete with sound-dampening blankets on the walls. Today's story comes from a listener we'll call Grace, I continued, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Grace saved for 5 years for a life-changing surgery. But one morning, she discovered her family had other plans for her money. 2 hours later, we had 3 episodes recorded. Each one featured a different, anonymous story that paralleled my experience, but with changed details and locations. These are fire, Vera said, editing the audio. Raw, but professional. Personal, but relatable. She glanced at me. Are you ready for the fallout when your family recognizes themselves? They probably won't even listen. Mom thinks podcasts are for people without real hobbies. My phone buzzed. Another wedding message. This time from Darren's mother. Darling, please ensure the bridesmaids understand the photo schedule. We've hired Paolo, and his time is very expensive. I ignored it and checked our course dashboard instead. The numbers made me gasp. Vera, look at this. She leaned over. Holy shit. 3,000 followers? The chronic illness community must be sharing your content. Check the comments. They scrolled past. Finally, someone who gets it. I thought I was alone. My family did the same thing. And then one that made my breath catch. This reminds me of that influencer wedding drama from last year. Vera's eyes lit up. The algorithm is making connections. People are putting pieces together. Should we be worried? Are you kidding? This is perfect. Build the mystery. Let them speculate. She typed rapidly. We just need one micro-influencer to... My laptop pinged with a new message notification. From LB. Subject, partnership proposal. Message. Your content resonates deeply with our mission. Would like to discuss potential sponsorship and advocacy platform. One condition. Must meet in person. Will be attending the Gray Hansen wedding as guest. Find me at the reception. P.S. Your father's political connections run deeper than you know. LB, Vera mused. Could be anyone on the guest list. But they clearly know something. Or it's a trap. My parents trying to shut me down. Your parents barely know how to attach files to emails. This is someone else. She pulled up the wedding guest list we'd swiped from the planner's portal. Let's cross-reference. My phone buzzed again. Sadie had posted a new Instagram story. Her final dress fitting, Mom crying theatrical tears in the background. The caption read, "Some people are blessed with the most supportive family." Post the next episode, I said suddenly. Now? We were going to wait until... Now. I adjusted the microphone. Let's record one more first. About narcissistic mothers and golden child syndrome. Vera's smile turned wicked. I'll boost it to our most engaged followers. The episode went live at midnight. By morning, It had 10,000 plays and was being shared across multiple platforms. Someone had even created a Reddit thread theorizing about the real identity of Grace. Mom called while I was driving to work. "The wedding planner just quit," she said without preamble. "Something about a toxic family environment? And now Darren's mother is asking questions about your father's campaign donations. Sounds stressful. This is serious, Milena. People are talking. There are rumors." She paused. "Have you been telling people about our private family matters?" "I run a health advocacy podcast, Mom. Everything I share is anonymous. Take it down." Her voice turned sharp. "Take it all down, or you'll regret it." I thought about the stolen money, the years of dismissal, the casual cruelty masked as concern. "No," I said quietly. "I don't think I will." I hung up as another email arrived. From LB. Subject, impressive message. "Your latest episode is trending in certain circles. The right circles. Keep going. See you at the wedding. P.S. Check today's financial news about the Gray family investments." Vera texted seconds later. "Holy shit. Darren's father's company is under investigation for fraud. Your dad's campaign contributions are mentioned." I pulled into the office parking lot, a strange calm settling over me. They thought they'd silenced me by taking my money. Instead, they'd given me a voice that reached thousands. "Time for another episode?" Vera asked when I walked in. I nodded, pulling out my notebook. "Let's talk about how karma works in the age of social media." The microphone felt warm under my fingers as I began. "Welcome back to Tell Your Truth. Today's story is about what happens when the masks finally crack." The rehearsal dinner venue gleamed with expensive desperation. Crystal chandeliers, gold-rimmed plates, and my mother's increasingly frantic smile as she worked the room. "The cake designer quit this morning," Sadie hissed, cornering me by the appetizer table. "And half the vendors are demanding payment up front now." "What did you do?" I selected a stuffed mushroom. "I'm just the maid of honor, remember? Here to support my sister's special day." "Don't play innocent. Ever since you started that stupid podcast." "Ah, you must be Milena," a deep voice interrupted. We turned to find an elegant older man extending his hand. "Leonardo Brewer, though you might know me better as LB." Sadie's eyes darted between us. "You're the arts patron. Dad said you'd be attending." "Indeed." His smile was razor sharp. "Would you mind if I borrowed your sister for a moment? We have some mutual interests to discuss." Before Sadie could object, Leonardo steered me toward a quiet corner. "Fascinating podcast you've created, particularly the episode about medical fund theft and political favors." "All anonymous stories," I said carefully. "Of course." He sipped his wine. "Just like my anonymous tip to the SEC about the Gray family's financial irregularities was purely coincidental." My heart skipped. "You're the one who... Let's just say I've been waiting for someone to crack this particular facade." He glanced around the room. "Your father's dealing with the Grays put several of my philanthropic projects at risk last year. I've been gathering evidence ever since." "Why tell me this?" "Because I run the largest medical arts rehabilitation foundation on the East Coast. We fund surgeries for injured performers." He handed me a business card. "Your story, your real story, could help hundreds while taking down some very deserving people." Across the room, Mom was watching us, her smile growing more strained. "What exactly are you proposing?" "Full funding for your surgery, plus a partnership launching a nationwide advocacy campaign." His eyes gleamed. "All you have to do is tell the truth, publicly, at tomorrow's reception. They'll try to discredit me. Let them try. I have copies of every document, every transaction." He finished his wine. "Think about it. But don't take too long. Karma's window of opportunity is surprisingly narrow." He melted back into the crowd just as Dad approached, looking worried. "What did Brewer want?" "Oh, you know," I smiled sweetly. "Just discussing medical funding and campaign finance laws." The color drained from his face. The rest of the evening dissolved into chaos. The catering staff showed up 2 hours late. The wedding planner's replacement quit via text. And someone, definitely not me, had leaked photos of Sadie's unique cake design to a wedding-shaming Facebook group. "This is a nightmare," Mom muttered, downing her third glass of champagne. "Darren's mother keeps asking about those SEC rumors. And now Leonardo Brewer is sniffing around." "Maybe the universe is trying to tell you something," I suggested. She grabbed my arm, fingers digging in. "Fix this. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're planning, stop it. This wedding means everything." "Like my surgery meant everything?" "Oh, for heaven's sake." She froze, noticing others watching, plastered on a smile. "Darling, let's not discuss family matters here." "You're right," I said loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. "We should save those discussions for tomorrow's toast." I left her standing there, face twitching, and found Vera by the bar. "Leonardo Brewer," she whispered excitedly. "Do you know who he is? The connections he has? He offered to fund my surgery. Holy shit. If I expose everything tomorrow." She gripped my hand. "Are you going to do it?" I watched my family work the room. Dad nervously glad-handing potential donors, Mom micromanaging the staff, Sadie posting perfectly filtered photos while her fiancé checked stock alerts on his phone. "They took everything from me," I said quietly. "My savings, my chance to heal, my voice." I pulled out my phone and showed Vera the toast I'd been drafting. Time to take it all back. Her eyes widened as she read. "This will destroy them." "No," I corrected, watching Leonardo raise his glass to me from across the room. "This will free me." The rehearsal dinner wound down in a cloud of tension and forced smiles. Tomorrow would bring the main event, a wedding that had cost me everything. But as I drove home, Leonardo's card burning a hole in my pocket and my toast burning brighter in my mind, I realized something. Sometimes losing everything is just the universe's way of showing you what you're truly worth. And tomorrow, everyone would learn exactly what that price was. The wedding day arrived in a flurry of hairspray and barely concealed panic. I sat perfectly still as the makeup artist covered the dark circles under my eyes, while Sadie had her third meltdown of the morning. "The flowers are the wrong shade of pink," she shrieked, pacing the bridal suite. "And the videographer is late, and my hair is ruined, and—" "Breathe, sweetie," Mom cooed, shooting me a warning look. "Milena, can't you do something?" I smiled serenely. "Everything will be exactly as it's meant to be." The makeup artist finished my face just as Vera texted. "In position. Backup recordings ready. You good?" I replied with a thumbs-up emoji and stood carefully, managing my pain. The bridesmaid dress cost more than 3 months of my rent. A shimmering rose gold nightmare that Sadie had chosen to complement her aesthetic. "Oh God," Sadie gasped, staring at her phone. "Someone just posted about Dad's campaign finances in my wedding hashtag." Mom snatched the phone. "Delete it. Delete everything. And where is that wedding planner? We need damage control." I slipped out while they panicked, finding a quiet corner to review my toast one last time. The words were seared into my memory after countless rehearsals. "Getting some pre-wedding jitters?" Leonardo appeared beside me, impeccable in his tuxedo. "Just finalizing some details." He handed me a business card. "My surgical coordinator. She's expecting your call tomorrow morning." His eyes twinkled. "Assuming you still plan to go through with this?" "Watch me." The ceremony was a masterpiece of excess. 200 guests packed the cathedral, camera phones ready. Sadie floated down the aisle in a dress that could have funded my surgery twice over. Mom dabbed at dry eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief, while Dad beamed with manufactured pride. I stood beside my sister, the perfect maid of honor, and thought about the last time I'd performed on stage. The rush before a big dance number. The anticipation thrumming through my veins. This was just another performance. The reception venue dripped with crystals and white roses. Champagne flowed as guests found their seats, many already checking their phones for the latest rumors about the Gray family's financial troubles. "You look too calm," Vera whispered, adjusting her camera under the pretense of fixing my dress. "It's scary." "I learned from the best," I murmured, watching my mother work the room. How to smile while holding a knife. The first hour passed in a blur of speeches. Dad's business partners praised the union. Darren's father made veiled comments about family loyalty. Mom cried on cue about her perfect daughters. Then the DJ announced, "And now a special toast from the maid of honor." Silence fell as I took the microphone. In the front row, Leonardo sat forward slightly. Vera's camera light blinked red. "When I was 18, I began, my voice clear and steady, I was going to be a professional dancer. I had scholarships, contracts, dreams." I paused, meeting my mother's suddenly wary eyes. Then came the injury, the chronic pain, the need for surgery. Sadie shifted uncomfortably in her designer dress. For 5 years, I saved every penny, worked extra shifts despite the pain, built a future dollar by dollar. I smiled, watching Dad's face pale. But families are funny things, aren't they? Sometimes they take everything you have and call it love. Mom stood up, but Leonardo's subtle headshake made her freeze. 3 weeks ago, I discovered my medical fund had been emptied. $47,000, gone. Used for crystal champagne flutes and designer centerpieces. Used to pay off political favors and secure business deals. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Phones emerged, recording. "But here's the beautiful thing about rock bottom," I continued, raising my glass. "When you have nothing left to lose, you find your voice. And people listen." I turned to face my sister and her new husband directly. "So here's to the happy couple. To the wedding that cost me my chance to walk without pain. To the family that taught me exactly what I'm worth." I paused, letting the tension build. "And to karma, which works in mysterious ways, like federal investigations and viral social media posts." The microphone trembled slightly in my hand as I delivered the final blow. "Check your phones, everyone. The truth about the Gray-Hanson merger just went live. And this time, there's proof." Chaos erupted as notifications pinged across the room. Mom lunged for the microphone but missed. Dad started shouting about slander. Darren's father was already on his phone, face ashen. Through it all, I stood perfectly still, smiling my camera-ready smile. The performance wasn't quite over. But the end was finally in sight. The reception hall erupted into barely controlled chaos. Phones buzzed with notifications as my latest podcast episode, complete with documented proof of the financial dealings, went viral in real time. "You absolute bitch!" Sadie screamed, lunging for me. Darren caught her arm, his face ashen as he stared at his phone. "Do you know what you've done?" "Exactly what you taught me," I replied calmly, still holding the microphone. "Family first, right?" "Security!" Mom shrieked, but Leonardo was faster. "I wouldn't," he said smoothly, stepping between us. "Unless you want the media to see you physically attacking a disabled woman at her sister's wedding. I'm sure that would play wonderfully on social media." Phones kept recording as Dad pushed through the crowd. "Milena, stop this now. We can talk about this privately, like we talked about my surgery fund." My voice carried across the suddenly silent room. "Or like we talked about using that money to pay off the Grays after your campaign finance scandal." A sharp gasp rippled through the crowd. Darren's father stood up so quickly, his chair crashed backward. "You promised this was handled," he snarled at my father. "You said there was no paper trail." "There's always a paper trail," I said, pulling up a QR code on the presentation screen. "Feel free to scan and see for yourselves. Every transaction, every email, every deal." Guests scrambled for their phones as Darren's mother grabbed his arm. "We're leaving, now." "But the wedding," Sadie started. "There is no wedding," Darren snapped, finally finding his voice. "Not after this. My family's reputation, Your family's reputation? Mom laughed hysterically. What about our reputation? Milena, take this down immediately. I can't, I said simply. It's already been picked up by 3 news outlets. Turns out people love a story about corruption exposed at a society wedding. Leonardo stepped forward again, this time addressing the room. As chairman of the Medical Arts Foundation, I can confirm that all documentation has been verified. We'll be launching a full investigation into the misappropriation of medical funds, starting with the Hansen campaign contributions. Dad collapsed into a chair, head in his hands. You've ruined everything, Sadie sobbed, mascara streaming down her face. My perfect day, my marriage, our family.
No, I corrected her, finally letting some emotion crack through. You ruined it when you decided my health was worth less than your wedding, when you watched them steal my future and called me selfish for wanting it back. Vera's camera caught every moment as guests began streaming toward the exits, whispering furiously into phones. Darren's family huddled with their lawyers in one corner, while Mom tried desperately to salvage relationships with fleeing socialites. The course website just crashed, Vera whispered excitedly. Too many people trying to access your story at once. I nodded, then turned back to my sister. You know what the funny thing is? I would have given you that money if you'd just asked. If you'd seen me as a person instead of an inconvenience. If you'd shown even a moment of real empathy. Empathy, she spat the word. You did this for revenge. No. I set down the microphone and pulled out Leonardo's card. I did this for surgery, for every person who's been silenced by family obligation, and for myself, because sometimes the only way to heal is to tell the truth. The room had nearly emptied now, leaving only immediate family, Leonardo's team, and a handful of journalists who'd somehow gotten wind of the story. What happens now? Dad asked quietly, looking older than I'd ever seen him.
Now? I smiled tiredly. Now I go home and call a surgical coordinator. Now I build my platform and help other people find their voice. Now I finally start living without your permission. Mom made one last desperate attempt. We're your family. No, I said, turning away. You're just people who taught me exactly how strong I am. I walked out of the reception hall with Leonardo and Vera flanking me, past the whispers and camera phones, past the ruins of a wedding that had cost me everything and given me something priceless in return. Freedom. Outside, the summer air felt clean and new. My phone buzzed with messages from course participants, media requests, and a confirmation email from Leonardo's surgical coordinator. Ready? Vera asked, already pulling up traffic directions to my apartment. I looked back at the venue one last time, remembering the girl who'd walked in hours ago. Perfectly dressed, perfectly obedient, perfectly silent. She was gone now. In her place stood someone stronger. Someone who'd learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't serving a cold dish. It's telling a hot truth and letting karma handle the rest. Ready? I said, and stepped into my new story. My phone buzzed as I sat in the pre-op room, hospital gown crackling when I moved to check it. Don't, Vera said, snatching the device away. You promised. No social media until after surgery. I just want to see... Nope. Your course has 10,000 members now. They can wait 6 hours for an update. The door opened and Mom walked in, looking smaller than I remembered. 3 weeks had aged her a decade. Security called me, I said before she could speak. Said you were trying to get in. I'm still listed as your emergency contact. She hovered by the door, clutching her designer purse like a shield. They wouldn't tell me anything about your procedure. Because I removed your access. Vera's my medical proxy now. She flinched. Your father lost his re-election bid yesterday. I know. Sadie's living in our guest room. Darren's family. She swallowed hard. The engagement's officially over. Actions have consequences, Mom. Is that what you wanted? To destroy us?
No. I met her eyes steadily. I wanted surgery. I wanted respect. I wanted you to see me as a person instead of an inconvenience. Everything else? That was karma. The nurse appeared with my pre-surgery paperwork. Mom stared at the Medical Arts Foundation logo on top. Leonardo Brewer's organization is paying for everything, plus funding a nationwide advocacy program. I signed the forms. Turns out my story resonated with people. Funny how that works. Milena. She stepped closer, voice dropping. We could still fix this. Make a public statement. Say it was all a misunderstanding. Mrs. Hanson? The nurse cut in firmly. Unless you're authorized medical personnel, I need you to leave now. Mom straightened, mask sliding back into place. Well, I hope you're satisfied with what you've done to this family. I am, I said simply. Goodbye, Mom. After she left, Vera squeezed my hand. You okay?
Better than okay. I lay back as the anesthesiologist entered. I'm finally free. The next thing I remember is waking up to Vera's grinning face and a notification storm on my phone. Your story hit national news, she said excitedly. 3 major networks want interviews. The podcast is trending. And look at this. She held up her tablet, showing me messages flooding our course platform. You gave me courage to stand up to my toxic family. Starting physical therapy next week, thanks to your resources. Finally told my truth after years of silence. Tears blurred my vision as I scrolled through hundreds of similar comments. There's more, Vera said softly. Leonardo's foundation is launching a medical advocacy branch. They want you to head it once you've recovered. A nurse came in to check my vitals. How's the pain? For the first time in years, I really thought about it. There was surgical pain. Yes, but the other kind, the deep ache of betrayal and silence, that was finally starting to fade. Manageable, I answered truthfully. I can handle it. My phone buzzed with a text from Sadie. I hope you're happy. You won. Congratulations. I typed back. This was never about winning. It was about surviving. When you're ready to understand that, call me. Another message popped up. From Leonardo? Surgery successful? Good. Board meeting next week to discuss your role. Your voice is needed. Vera helped me sit up carefully. What are you thinking? I looked around the recovery room, remembering all the times I'd been here alone, swallowing pain and silence, because that's what family expected. I'm thinking about all the other people out there, suffering quietly, because someone told them that's what love looks like. I reached for my phone. Help me record something? She positioned the camera as I began. Hey everyone, I'm recording this from my hospital room, where I just had the surgery that my family said I didn't need, that they stole from me, that they claimed was selfish to want. My voice grew stronger with each word. But this isn't a story about revenge. It's about truth, about standing up when everyone tells you to sit down, about finding your voice when the world tries to silence you. I smiled directly into the camera. So here's my promise. I will never be quiet again. And I will help every single one of you find your voice too. Because the greatest power we have isn't in revenge. It's in finally telling our truth. Vera lowered the phone, wiping her eyes. That's going to help a lot of people. Good, I said, settling back against the pillows. Because that's the best revenge of all.